Hello, this is Shawn Bland at the Art Center of Wilmington Island. We are so glad to offer a way to stay connected and continue creating art. Check our new list of art at home kits for both kids and adults, available for curbside pickup. Keep visiting our Facebook page and website to see the latest options. We will post them as quickly as we can make them. Each kit contains everything you need to complete a painting at home. A pre-sketched canvas, an inspiration picture, paint and brushes, a palette, and a link to watch a tutorial to follow along. All you need to provide would be paper towels and a wrench cup for your brushes. Now that you have your supplies, please follow the link to watch our step-by-step tutorial. Time to paint. The puppy painting that we're going to do today has a greenish background, so we're going to start with that first. As you look at the colors you have on your palette, we have green that we can use, and we can add yellow to it to make a yellow green. And we can add white to it to make it lighter. And then we can also add black to it if we need to make it darker. So to begin with, we're going to start with our big brush. In your packet, you have a big brush and a small brush, so we'll use that to paint our picture, because one is flat. The big brush is big enough we can do our background space. And then we have a small round brush that we can do all of our detail with. So to begin this background, what I'd like to do first is go in and load some of the white paint on my brush. And I would like to move some of the green paint over and lay it right beside the white paint. And then I would like to take yellow, pick it up, and load it right beside that. And when I lay them out beside each other, you can see that the colors mix because they're overlapping when I pick them up. And that is what I want you to be able to do when you start painting your background. So instead of painting it just one color green, we have all different color greens that we can use. I'm actually picking up the green now as I go to load my brush again, and you can see that now it really changes and makes something fun and interesting to look at. When I go over, next time I pick up a little bit of the yellow, and you can see how fun it is to add the yellow to the yellow green. And then next time I can add a little bit of the white to it, and now I have a lighter color. And this brush is so fun to use because I can create such an interesting background with the bristles that are long in this brush. They're about an inch long, and they really make it fun to create a design even in the background. We could blend the colors together, or we could paint a fun design in there. We could do stripes, for instance. That would be a fun thing to do. We could also add some spirals. I can add white in here, and look, we can have all kind of fun things going on in our background. I'm going to come around the ear now, and this brush is big enough so it allows me to go into this space and fill in between the dog's ear and his shoulder. So as you know, when you put a light color over a dark color, the light one peeks through, and that's great because all the lines that are drawn for you on our pre-sketched canvas stay there and you can see them. So that means when you paint, you don't have to stay in the lines to make the background. You can go right up to the line with the big brush like that, and you can see how easy it is to paint and not have to worry about staying in the lines. Remember, it's fun to be very creative, so you can add the patterns if you want to. A pattern means that you take line or a shape or a color, and you use it over and over. So that's certainly a fun way to make this dog fun and interesting to look at. Okay, so I can add a little bit of black in there now if I want to make some of the spaces a little bit darker. So I just put a smidgen, just a little bit of black into the green, and you can see I made that a little bit darker on the area that's closest to the bottom of the cabinet, the canvas down towards the bottom. So just made it a little bit darker. So I have yellow greens, and I have a darker green, and I have all kind of fun patterns with lines, shapes, and colors. Okay, so now that I've completed my background, it is time for me to wash my brush and get ready for the dog. So I'm just gonna wash my brush. I'm gonna pat it dry with the paper towels that I have here. So that way my brush doesn't have too much water on it, and I can move on to the browns that I want for my color of my dog. So I'm going to take this same big brush because it's really fun to use. And now I'm going to start in with my body first. So it's a brown color, but you can make your dog different colors of brown. This is just the burnt sienna, and it is a medium brown color. But if I wanted to make it lighter, I could go in and add some white to it, and that changes it. So I went from a medium brown to a lighter brown. I can add that color in if I want. So I can also add orange in, and you can see how fun that is. So now he has a little bit of an orangish brown in there. So that's a fun color for him. And let's see what else we could do. We could add the brown and the orange together and darken it a little bit with just a little bit of black. So I put a little bit of black on the edge, because anytime you want something to look round, what we need to do is make it darker on the edges and lighter in the center. So I did that with this brush by adding the black to the brown. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to go in. I'm going to make it darker on the edges. And you can see how I'm turning my brush up and down and sideways, going right along the edge. I'm just building a base color right now so I can establish a shadow that's up underneath where the dog's face overlaps his body. So I like the way that looks. So I'm going to get more brown on my brush and go up underneath. Now if you go all the way around his tongue like that, you can see how nice it's beginning to look with the shadow colors coming out against the medium value colors that he has in the middle section. Now I can go back and blend the two together. So I'm going to add a little white and a little orange to my brush again. And look, see how I just mix the two together? Now he has a beautiful round belly, and he has shoulders that are a little bit darker. He has a darker brown up underneath his tongue and around the edges. So you can see that he is rounding out very nicely. I'm going to do the same thing for his tail. I'm going to start off with the burnt sienna color, the medium brown. I'm going to add some of that to his tail. Then I'm going to add a little black to the brush, and I'm going to make it darker on the edges. So it's blacker and of course darker on both ends. And then I can go with the brown and add a little orange into it to make it really interesting for the middle shape. And if I use my brush like this, see how I'm using my brush, making all the little hairs on the dog, making streaky, streaky, streak. And then he looks fluffy. If I need more hair, what if my dog has a fuller tail? See how I can just start making it fuller? He can be really fluffy if you want him to. But just use the side of your brush and add paint until you get enough of your colors so that it looks like your dog that you want to paint. See how I picked up the light color and put it right on top? I mixed the white and the orange right in and laid it right on top of the dog. But see my brush strokes? See how I can come up now right out of the edge of the canvas, and I can make the dog really fun and fluffy looking by using this big brush. Now we'll do that at the bottom because he's nice and furry. But when we get to the face, we're going to use a smaller brush and do some detail first. So we can draw his features. Okay, but now you can see we have a nice beautiful dog that's all fluffy. And now we're ready to go to his features. So I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to put it in my water cup and I'm going to wash it back and forth. I'm going to agitate it against the cup at the bottom so I can make sure I get all the paint out of it. And after I do that, I'm just going to take it over to the paper towel and pat it dry so that I get most of the water out. And then I'm going to put it aside and get ready to paint my features. And I'm going to dip my brush in the water first. Then I'm going to tap it dry on the paper towel. And then I'm going over for eyes. And I'm going to take the white first and load it on my brush with my nice round brush. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to take the moon shape that's drawn for you on your dog and I'm going to color that white. And I know it's a little bit hard for you to see because white on white doesn't show up, and that's okay. You won't have any problems in a minute seeing it because we're going to put the black pupil against the white, and then we're also going to put the brown outside the white for his skin color. So that will show up very nicely. So we just needed a little bit of white to get that put in first. And now we can wash the brush. We're going to agitate it in the water just a little bit. We're going to tap it on the side. We're going to pat it with the paper towel. And then we're ready to go in and put our black. So I'm going to go into my black paint and pick that up. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a circle. Now circles sometimes are a little bit tricky unless you know the secret. And the secret is to take the tip of your brush and start at one point and go around like you're making the letter C, and then stop, and then go dip your brush again in the paint and start at the same point at the top of the eye again, and this time go around and make a backwards C. Now see how easy that was when you put the two C's together? Then all you have to do is go in the middle and go around and around and around, and then all of a sudden you have a beautiful pupil made. And see how easy it was? You did it with two simple letters. We did a C, and then we did a backward C, and then there we are. I'll do one more again so that you can see it. I'm going to start right at the top, make myself a dot, and I'm going to start there and make the C. And then I'm going to load my paintbrush. You always have to reload your brush to make sure that you have enough paint on it. I'm going to start in that same place, and I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna make a backward C, and they are just going an I by using 2 C brush strokes. 2 C brush strokes. One goes to the front and one is backwards. And then all we have to do is put black on the inside, and we have a nice round eye. All right, then we want to continue painting with the black. We've got our round brush, so it makes it real easy for us to go in and make a nose. I'm going to use the tip of my brush to go around and give myself a circle. And once I set up the circle shape, I can just lay my brush down and around and fill up the space for the nose. And then I continue going down and making the space that makes his mouth. And then you can see how the dog's mouth overlaps his body. We wanted to make sure that we were able to focus in on that overlapping, and that's why we were able to put the dog's darker color up underneath and the lighter color in the middle, so that we could get the shadows underneath the dog's face. So with the black brush, I'm still going to go through and use an edge to make his cheek, and then I'm going on up to make his head all the way around. I'm not going to outline everything in black. I'm just doing it on this side so it looks like it is in shadow a little bit. And so once I have that much done, I'm going to stop with the black, and then I'm going to wash out my brush. Remember, I just agitate it back and forth in the water, and then I tap it dry and go over to my paper towel and get most of the water off. And then now I'm going to go back to my brown, because I can color my dog brown. And remember, you can use any colors you want, because you can be creative. We can add brown and orange together. Let's start right here where we left off with the black line, and I'm going to continue on with brown, and the brown can have some orange in it just to make it a little bit brighter. So I'm going to use this round brush to go all the way around. I'm going to work from the outside towards the inside, and the dog's face will just round out so nicely as we follow that strategy of being darker on the outside and getting lighter in the middle. So far all this has been the dark brown and the orange mixed together. Every time I run out of paint, I have to go get some more, because I need all of my canvas filled up with paint. Now, once I got down to where the whiskers were, I just covered that brown. I just covered it up with the brown, because I can draw those in later after this part is finished. So I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to go back after I got to his nose. I'm going to turn around and go back and start up on the top of his face again. And this time, because the black is just a little bit wet, I can blend in the black and the brown together. Get such a nice blend doing it that way when the black is wet. So now I'm working on this left-hand side, And I'm covering up all of those whiskers too, because I can put those right back in. So I'm gonna go around and fill up all that space now, and all that is brown with just a little orange in it. So now I'm gonna add more and more orange. So adding the orange to my brush, now you can see it's getting lighter and lighter. And that's a real fun thing to happen to your face, to make the face look like a round form instead of a flat shape, because the dog is very round. So I'm just adding orange and brown together. Now I'm going to even add white. So now I have brown, orange, and white, and look how cute that's going to be to add that color in to my dog's face. So I'm going right around the eyes, and you can see how I'm using that round brush. I'm just going right around the edges, and I'm sneaking right around that white that we did that looked like a moon shape a few minutes ago. Remember the white that we put on there first? So look, I'm just laying my round brush right around the edges and going all the way around those eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and do that first so I won't forget where my eye is. See, now the eyes just come right out and look right at you, going right around both sides of the eyes and both eyes. And now he is just getting cuter and cuter. So now I have more white on my brush mixed with the orange and the brown, and I just keep painting and making my puppy just as cute as he can be. It's always fun to mix the colors. There we go. Now see how all the colors mix when they're wet? So once you start this painting, the brown will stay wet enough for you to mix the lighter color in with it. Then we'll add fun details on with another brush. In a minute, we will add all kind of eyelashes and whiskers. But right now we're just making sure that we get the dog the color we want him to be. Now if you want to add spots to your dog, that would be so fun and interesting to do. You could add color anywhere you wanted. You could add white spots or black spots. So be thinking about that. We've got to do his ears first, and then you can think about all those fun ways that you could change and have spots or different colors on your dog. At first I'm just picking up the brown and orange, and it does have a little white in it. I'm going along and following the edge on the top of the ear, and I'm bringing down my paint, as you can see with my brush, going down towards the bottom of the ear. And then what if I want just a little bit more white so that we can have a ear with a white spot on the bottom? See how I can just go in and add extra white to it? And while it's wet, I can just blend it right in. And now he has a little white pointed ear. Okay, so that's fun and interesting to look at. So let's go to the other side, and we'll do another ear. We're going to start at the top, and then we're going to make a wave around with our brush. And we're just going to follow the contour of the line, making a circle go around, and then we're heading down towards the tip. And when we get to the dog's pointy end, we're just going to use our brush a little different direction. See how I changed? I was going down and around, and now I'm going up. See how I changed direction so that I can get the paint just to flow right where I want it to go. And now I'm going back up and meeting where I started from, back right around the corner. Added more brown so that I could finish filling in. What if I want him to have a black spot? I can just go pick up some black that I used a while ago and put a black spot. So I've got one white spot on one side of the ear, and I've got another black spot on the other side of the ear. So, remember, you can do your spots any way you want to. Okay, good job. Now, we have to wash our brush and dry it again. And now we get to finish up our features. When the dog is looking out at us, we want to make sure that we give him a highlight. And a highlight can be a little dot or a little comma in the black pupil area that you made a while ago. And we also need a little highlight on his nose. So I want you to do the same thing. Just a little dot or a comma so that you can see that his nose is shiny. And then I want you to think about the eyelashes, and we need to think about the whiskers. So I'm going to wash out my brush. I'm going to tap it dry, and then I'm going to go in and put the black on just the tip of my brush, so I'm carrying just a little bit of it because I want the eyelashes to come right off the corner top. And I'm just maybe going to put 2 or 3. You can add what you want, but you don't need too many. And that will take care of his eyes. And then for the whiskers at the bottom, we can go in and we can put 3 or 4 little whiskers. Remember, you're drawing with a brush that has a point on the end. So if you will choke up on your brush, and when you paint the whiskers, if you do not press down, use just the tip of your brush and choke up almost so that you're touching the bristles, but not quite. See how close I am to the handle on the brush? So once you get there, you take and you put your point right on the area where you want your whisker, and then you draw it. So if you'll take just a minute when you're doing that and get ready, set up, choke up on your brush and put your fingers down on the brass part of the brush right below the handle. Take your brush, make sure that you dip it in the water and that you roll it in that black paint, and you get a tip on the very end of your brush so that you are able to make a skinny line. So no pressure, barely touch your canvas, and you can get a skinny little whisker. You can put 2 or 3 or 4. You can put as many as you want. It's your dog, so you can decorate it just the way you want it to look. Okay, so then we have a tongue. If you want your dog to have a tongue, then we need to get ready to color that. So we're going to have to add another color to our palette. We're going to use white, and we're going to put just a little bit of red in with it so it turns pinkish. So remember, to do that, you have to have just a little bit of paint on your brush. I'm going to start out with just a little bit of the orange first, and then I'm going to add some of the red to make it a little pinker. So this is white with a little orange in it, just to get the placement of where I want it to go. I'm going to fill in that with white and a little orange. And if you decide that you don't want his tongue sticking out, of course, you don't have to. You can just paint it a different way. But this one's very cute with the tongue on it, so we'll add that one on this painting today. So I'm gonna get some red so that we can finish up. I'll add red to the palette. We just need a dot because we want it to be a little on the pink side. So I'm gonna pick it up and see how easy it is just to add a dot of red to the white that we added a little orange to. Just a dot of red. And now he looks like that he is ready to go for a walk. Now that you have finished your project, we want to see your masterpiece. Please send us a picture either to our email at the Art Center of Wilmington Island at Gmail or post it to our Facebook page. Keep visiting our Facebook page and website to see the latest art at home kits available. Thanks so much for supporting your neighborhood art studio.